The president has spoken, top Democrats have spoken, the New York Times has weighed in, so have the people of New York. It's time for Governor Andrew Cuomo to go. Tonight, we also learned that the majority of the New York State Assembly would support beginning impeachment proceedings if the governor does not resign. So the question tonight, is he listening and does he care? Up to this point, that answer has been a hard no. An independent investigation yesterday found he sexually harassed multiple women, both inside and outside his inner circle. But as he has since the allegations surfaced, Cuomo is insisting he did nothing wrong. Yesterday, President Biden said Cuomo should resign. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi urged him to resign. Mayor Bill de Blasio, New York's two Democratic senators as well, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, all say he should step down. In a statement, the senators wrote, "No elected official is above the law. The people of New York deserve better leadership. In the governor's office, we continue to believe that the governor should resign." There's more. The New York Times said when the charges came to light, the editorial board wanted any investigation to run its course. Well, now that it has, the board concluded if Mr. Cuomo cares for the well-being of the state and its citizens as much as he has said he does over the years, he needs to do the right thing and step down. Almost 60% of New Yorkers polled say Cuomo should resign. 52% of Democrats. In addition, 59% of adults questioned say if he doesn't step down, the legislature should impeach him. That poll also found only 11% of New Yorkers think Cuomo deserves to be reelected next year, which brings us back to a question that has been floated for months now. What's next for the embattled governor? And that is where we start tonight. We are joined by two New York State Assemblymen, Democrat Tom Abenante and Republican Will Barclay. Thank you both for your time. I know you have a lot going on there. Assemblyman Abenante, let's start with you since you're the Democrat. Is this true? Are there enough votes on the Assembly to impeach him?
I haven't taken account yet, but I do know that the governor's actions have caused quite a stir in New York. The report by the Attorney General that just came out was a highly damning condemnation of the governor's actions. And many who were silent before are now calling for the governor's resignation. I was one of the first to call for the governor's resignation when the charges first surfaced several months ago. And what has happened since has confirmed what those of us who wanted him to resign were concerned about. We were afraid he was not going to maintain the ability to run the state. And I think we have seen that he's been distracted and has not been able to run the state. And for the good of the state, the governor should step down.
So, Assemblyman Barclay, are we approaching a Nixon moment here? It appears the votes are there to impeach him.
Yeah, I think we may already be there. You know, Tom and I don't agree on much, but I think what he just said was extremely accurate of what's going on. I haven't heard one person come out and in support, whether Republican or Democrat or anyone else, saying that he should stay on. And if he doesn't resign, I think, obviously, I believe the Assembly should move forward and we ought to start impeachment proceedings. But I hope he sees the light. And I don't think going through an impeachment proceeding is beneficial for anybody in the state. And I hope he does see the light and resigns. So, you know, we had some patience. Maybe he's a little shell-shocked after the AG's report. But now is the time to do the right thing because we have to move New York State. And having him at the top isn't going to be helpful for New York State to move forward.
Assemblyman Abenante, you say you haven't taken a vote. I'm sure there will be some viewers out there who find that hard to believe at this point. But let me ask you in another way. What's happening behind the scenes? What's going on in Albany right now?
Well, I'm a member of the Judiciary Committee. And as my colleague knows, we're somewhat constrained to comment on the merits of the allegations. We're trying very hard to be as impartial as possible, to weigh the evidence, to look at the charges, to look at the governor's response to those charges, to look at his defense. If we come to a point where we believe that there is sufficient evidence to impeach, then I believe we have an obligation to draft articles of impeachment and recommend to the full assembly that they pass the articles of impeachment. If we find that we don't reach that high bar, then we're going to have to recommend that we don't take any action. But, you know, we are looking at four different areas. One is the allegations of sexual misconduct or sexual harassment, We're also looking at the governor's actions with respect to nursing homes in the state. We're looking at his alleged abuse of office, and we're looking at whether he kept quiet, avoided any discussion of dangers at the new Mario Cuomo Bridge. So we're looking at 4 different areas, and we're going to be meeting this Monday, discussing with our lawyers what the Attorney General's report had to say, what its impact should be, whether it is the same as their investigation, whether they found anything different, and also where they are in investigating these other matters. As you may know, the Assembly hired outside counsel, a large law firm, to work with the lawyers of the Assembly to look into all of these matters. Right. And on Monday, we're going to get a status report and see where we're at.
So, Assemblyman Barclay, you just mentioned the bipartisanship. It appears that your colleagues who have a supermajority in the Assembly will take the lead on this. Do you let them carry the ball?
Well, to some extent, and I have the utmost respect for my colleagues who are on the Judiciary Committee. We have Republicans serving on that committee, so they've been involved in this investigation. The only thing I would say that's changed since maybe 3 days ago is the fact is we now do have an Attorney General report that is very damning against the governor. That was an independent report. She came out. I think now there's enough evidence with that 11 poor victims of sexual harassment by the governor, and it's well documented. I think there's enough there now to commence impeachment in the Assembly and send it over to the Senate and let them do the trial. I don't know what we're waiting for. Certainly there's other issues that the governor is being investigated for, and that's great, and they can continue on with that investigation. But I think the time is now to start the impeachment proceedings if the governor doesn't resign forthright.
Pretty clear statement right there, Assemblyman ABINANTI. Do you think there's any way Governor Cuomo survives this?
Well, I don't want to comment on the merits. As I said, we're in the position of a grand jury and a prosecutor. And if you've ever dealt with prosecutors, they're not going to tell you in advance what the merits of their case are. They're just going to say, we're working on it, and when we come to a conclusion, we will let you know. And so what we have to do is take a look at the Attorney General's report. It provides us with a roadmap, but we have to look to see whether there is sufficient evidence for us to be able to prove our case before the jury of the Senate.
How long does that take?
We can't just rubber stamp and say, okay, well, here's the allegations, we're going to go forward. We've got to be prepared to present the evidence in trial, and be able to win that trial if we decide to impeach.
If it appears we will head down that road, would you go to the governor ahead of time and tell him?
Well, I think that would be up to the speaker and to the minority leader, perhaps, to make it clear. But I think it's clear to the governor right now that the sense of the state is that he should do the right thing and just resign.
I'll give you the last word. Will, go ahead.
Thank you. If I may, thank you. The only thing I would ask any of my colleagues, if a vote for impeachment came up in the House, would anybody vote against that impeachment now? I would guess no. I think with the evidence out there, people are ready to move forward. And again, no disrespect, we're doing a full investigation. This is not a trial like a criminal trial. This is an impeachment. It's an political activity. And again, he will have his process in the Senate where they hold court. There's the evidence is there. The investigation has been done on the harassment. Let's move forward and let's move the governor out if he doesn't resign.
Well, it is certainly a question we asked today. Who is supporting him? And it was a tough question to answer. I want to thank you both for your time. New York State Assemblyman Democrat Tom ABINANTI and Republican Will Barclay. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.